Hi, my name is Kevin Casey, and I'm a professional astrologer. You can find me at Body, Mind, and Soul on our website, bodymindandsoulhouston.com.
Well, let's switch to career path.
Career, yes.
Because it all comes down to love and money, doesn't
It does, yes.
Love and money. If it wasn't for love and money, I wouldn't have a business.
And neither would I.
You know, that's what everybody wants to know.
Right.
So, in the career house or in the career planets, I mean, what would be the harbinger of someone who would be very successful in business?
Successful, you are going to see the 10th house in astrology, which is at the very top of the chart. It's the very top of the chart, is going to tell you about a person's career and how successful. If the sun is there, okay, you're going to see people, a lot of times, be very, very, very successful.
Sun in the 10th house.
Sun in the 10th house. And if it's very close to what they call the angle, what's called the midheaven, the chances of being very, or even being famous, or even more so. Saturn also, Donald Trump has Saturn in its 10th house. Those people have a tendency to work very hard and sometimes a little too hard, and that can bring success also.
Donald Trump. Did you see the roast of Donald Trump?
I did.
It was good TV.
Was it? I was probably doing a chart at that time.
You probably were, which you can YouTube it.
Yeah, okay. Well, look at that. So that is, and also the sign. There's always a sign that rules that particular house. Yes. So that's another thing where sometimes...
I see what you mean.
See, yes. So if, for instance, if Scorpio were kicking off your 10th house, it was ruler of your 10th house, you might want to do something like therapy. Maybe you're being an accountant, like you said, and you are way off base. And it's interesting because most people intuitively, when you mention what they might be good at, is, I've always wanted to do that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. A lot of times it rings very true for those people.
So what would Libra on the 10th house be?
Libra on the 10th house could be someone that's very good at design.
That's my daughter, and she's a designer. Isn't
all
that
right.
amazing?
Could be very good at design. Sometimes you'll see them in negotiation, like being a mediator too. But normally they just have a natural talent for being able to put things together and make so design.
Something pleasing to the eye.
Pleasing to the eye. Graphic designers you see a lot of times. Libra on the 10th house, yes.
It's amazing. And, I think all of the signs have great gifts and all of the signs have challenges, right?
Yes, oh yes.
What would be something that you would consider in looking at a chart that would give you a key to a real challenge in life? A karmic debt or a contract or, one of these things that is just a burden.
A burden. A lot of times you will look to the planet Saturn if there's a lot of aspects to Saturn, or also if there's a lot of aspects to Pluto, which is the most powerful planet, is the ruler of Scorpio, or the planets that I look at. And
Pluto's the most powerful planet?
It is the most powerful planet.
See,
it's the
we're
smallest.
getting a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah, it's extremely powerful. And and also with Saturn, and are they...
Even though it's the farthest away.
Even though it's the farthest away and it's very small, it is the most powerful planet in the solar system and in astrology. So what I look at is I look to see are these planets making in relationship to your sun or your moon, because those are very, very personal.
Right.
So if it's Saturn in the sun, a lot of times people will have to work very hard, or sometimes they make their lives harder than it needs to be.
That's me. I have a Saturn and
Sun, do you? They have a tendency, yes, to kind of...
In the first house?
In the first house, okay.
Ouch,
yes. So you need to be an Amazon woman, is what that's telling me.
I don't want to be an Amazon woman.
And you need to put yourself out there. And Saturn will never leave you alone until you face those. So if you have Saturn, like for instance, in the first house, that is a difficult placement. But it is about putting yourself out there and saying, yes, I can do this.
Wow.
So I look at those.
We'll have to talk later about
yes.
that. I'm already hyperventilating just thinking about it. So,
all right.
But I love Capricorn.
Yes.
That particular sign and the energy behind that sign, it seems to be one of the better placements. I mean, what do you think about Capricorns?
I really like Capricorn. Actually, Pluto went into Capricorn about a year and a half ago, and it's going to be there for the next 14 years.
okay, and does Saturn rule Capricorn?
Saturn rules Capricorn
Okay,
too.
so Saturn is in
Saturn's
Scorpio.
in Scorpio, yes.
And Pluto is in Capricorn.
Yes.
Don't they have a name for that?
Yes, that's called a mutual reception.
Oh, I think
Okay.
that sounds really
good.
nice.
A mutual reception.
Is that going to be my saving grace for the next 2 years?
It very well could be, because Capricorn is there for the long haul. So I always say slow and steady wins the race with Capricorn.
Yeah, that's the thing about
love
being on
Capricorn,
radio.
yes.
You know, you can do it in your pajamas. You don't have to do your hair and your
Right.
nails. But today, since we're on video, we have to be careful. We're trying to, you know, somebody's answering the phone. There's people running around. It's just like, you know, we probably should get a close-up of the dinosaur, though. Do you think the dinosaur can come and sit on the table for a second?
For just a moment.
Jordan, could we borrow your dinosaur for just one moment? Oh,
Can you
Jordan
do
didn't
that?
like that. Jordan's dinosaur.
Yes. For
It's so cute.
Very prehistoric.
Oh, it's Christie's. Okay.
Oh,
Chris's. Chris is one of the spiritual leaders at. Can we see it? Is it being seen?
More
Okay.
that way. Let's do that. Oh, it's Godzilla.
Oh, that's
Very cool.
amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. I just thought it would be a nice addition visually for our listeners out there to be able to see a little bit of our dinosaur. I mean, Local Live has recently moved, and we are in the process of really creating a fabulous multimedia space. And I think additions such as Godzilla here is what makes us unique. What do you think?
I
Kevin?
think so too. Represent
It's
reptilian.
representative of.
The
It's
reptilian.
really rare that you can work that into a sentence.
Yes. Very.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to bring up one
Yes.
thing because, you know, Jordan, who is our spiritual leader here at Local Live,
All right.
posts something just about every day about astrology from a different point of view, right, Jordan? What's that called?
Is it Vedic, Hindu? Oh, the numerology.
Is it numerology?
Yes. I like numerology also.
I heard about the Mercury retrograde, and for 48 hours, which is still okay, Jordan. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Are you doing Facebook? No. Okay. He's updating the website.
Okay.
Okay. So back to this. So when you first got into doing astrology
Yes.
professionally.
Yes.
Now, I am assuming that this followed several years of just being interested in it more as a hobby.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But when you very first got into doing professional readings,
Yes.
where did you make that decision? What kind of moment did you have? And how did that really occur for you to get started?
Well, I had actually another astrologer looked at my chart and said, "You're going to be an astrologer." And I
Oh.
didn't know, and I went, "Oh, okay." And I had read some astrology, but I'd read a lot of other things too. I'd studied and read Hinduism and, had numerology and the tarot. And I said, okay. And she gave me books, some of her books out of her library. And so I started, and I couldn't stop. And so I sat at the table every night, and it just flowed. I just loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. I remember The Sopranos would be on television,
Oh, The
or Grey's
Sopranos.
Anatomy, and I'd be there sitting there studying my astrology, and it went very, very quickly. She was exactly right.
And it's just been a passion ever since.
It's been a passion, and to let you know, like on my career house, I am an Aquarian. Aquarius rules astrology, and that's
Oh,
also
I didn't know
yes,
that.
Yes, Aquarius rules astrology, and Aquarius is also on my career house.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how she knew that, and she
10th.
was 10th house. Yes, the 10th house of career, and Aquarius rules my 10th house also. It's my sun sign and my 10th house ruler. So she was right, and it really was kind of scary in the beginning because it went very quickly. I started doing readings fairly quickly.
You're excellent.
Oh, thank you. I love it.
Well, and didn't you do readings all day yesterday?
I did all day long. I did readings yesterday.
Because isn't this kind of the time of year that people want to kind of get their next year going? They want to see what's going on. I mean, isn't this a popular time of year?
Yeah, this is a very popular time, and even some people say, when it's January, they call it, this is your tax time, Kevin, right, for astrologers, because at the beginning of the year. But we also have the planet Uranus is making a difficult aspect to Pluto. So we have a lot of people
Oh, I didn't
waking up
know
also.
that.
Yes. And this is why we're also seeing the governments being overthrown in the Middle East.
Oh.
Too. And people are also waking up. So we have people at the
Okay,
end. wondering
we
what's
need to
going
back
on.
up just a little
Okay,
bit for our
sure,
listeners and everything.
Sure.
All right, so we've been talking about astrology from a personal point of view.
Yes.
But astrology can also be used to predict trends, worldwide, global,
Yes.
elections, and shifts by the collective consciousness
Yes.
into new ways of approaching old problems. So we've kind of shifted into that. And what you're saying is that the planet Uranus has made a difficult connection to Pluto?
To Pluto, yes.
All right, now explain that a little more detail.
Okay, Uranus is a planet of, it's called the Great Awakener, and it's always associated, when it was discovered, it was when the American Revolution was going on, the French Revolution, so it's always associated with revolutions.
And how did they discover that planet way back then? Did they have telescopes that were that big? Or,
They did actually.
Or strong?
It's very interesting because they were told for many, many years that there were no planets past Saturn, and Saturn's about walls and boundaries.
Oh.
And Uranus had been discovered numerous times. They said, no, there are no other planets. So when they finally realized that, it shook up the entire system of
And that was
astronomy.
the 1776 was
Yes.
the American Revolution. Can you believe I know that date?
Yes, that's very good.
Well, I know
I'm impressed.
I know a limerick about it,
That
which
you
I will not
repeat
repeat.
on radio. But
Well, I would
Scorpios
if it was radio, but not with video because it's no.
Yeah, but Scorpio would know those kinds of things. So in its Uranus is, and it literally, the planet literally rotates on its side. So it's anything that's unusual, anything that's different, and it did shake up the whole
And that's your
scientific
sign's
community.
ruler.
Yes,
It's the ruler of Aquarius. All right, so it's shaking up.
Shaking up.
How long will the Uranus be on Pluto?
It's called
Difficult
what's called a
aspect.
square. It's going to be for the next 2 years. And Uranus is in Aries, and Aries is about being an individual, and Pluto is in Capricorn, which is about authority. So
That's
the
right.
two, authority and being an individual, are in conflict right now. So this
That
is why
makes
we're
so
seeing
much sense.
Yes. People say, no, we do not want this anymore. We don't want this kind of government anymore. And people are waking up, even in their lives here, and saying, you know what, this is not what I want to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's part of the collective consciousness.
That's part of the collective consciousness.
And don't the outer planets work with generational type themes?
Yes.
And where are we right now?
Right now, we are in, we've got the Pluto and Capricorn generation. Before that, we had the Pluto and Sagittarius. And I'll tell you something very interesting. The Pluto and Scorpio, which was in the 80s, those that were born in the 80s, Pluto is also a death planet, and Scorpio, too, is associated with death. Those were the children that ended up, the generation that ended up taking guns to school. So that whole generation is learning a lot of lessons about how senseless that is, a lot of lessons about death, just like the Pluto
Or
and
flirting
Sagittarius.
with death.
Or flirting with death, absolutely.
The thing about drugs.
Drugs, yes.
And the shootings in the schools.
Schools, yes.
And I don't even like to talk about it, but we all know what's in the headlines with
Sure.
group violence.
Yes,
Things along those lines. So you're saying that might pass when?
That's well. As that generation gets older, they're going to see, because Pluto they're going to let go of all of that. They're going to
Just let
see
go
how
of it.
senseless. Yeah, that a lot of that. A lot of it is.
Yeah.
Because Pluto's generational, and so is another one would be Uranus to a certain degree. But we're in Pluto and Capricorn right now.
And that's a good place
This
to be.
is good. So this is why also that when we're talking collectively, the financial situation has changed. It's a very sobering sign. So Pluto and Capricorn is saying, hey, if you don't have the money, don't spend
buy it.
Don't buy it. No, we're not going to do
Let's
your
downsize.
credits. Yes, let's downsize.
And let's celebrate downsizing.
Yes, absolutely.
It feels fabulous. Clean out a couple of closets. I guarantee you'll be out of therapy for at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It'll give you a break for a couple of weeks.
Right. And it's good feng shui too. Yeah, so
Good
very
feng shui,
good.
Yeah.
And
This is some of the parts of astrology that I find fascinating, is when you look at it from a global point of
Yes.
view. When you look at just yourself, of course, we are all our own greatest fans.
Yes.
We love to find out things about ourselves.
Absolutely.
And our relationships and our children and, all of that. But when you look at an entire society
yes.
from a point of view of astrology, a lot of things really come to light. So let's kind of change gears again.
Okay.
Let's go to very specificness based on the numbers, okay? Like each house gets 30 degrees.
Yes.
and there's 12 houses.
Right.
So if you're on one particular number, let's say you're at 28 Capricorn in the third house or something like that, I mean, how specific can you get with that type of information?
Well, what happens is when an astrologer pulls your chart, and like you were saying, you get the degrees.
The
you
degrees.
get very, very, very specific. All of this is like a pie slice. There's 12 like rooms there.
12 rooms.
And they each represent a certain part of life. So if you've got something in your money house, that's how astrologers will know. Look, Jupiter's the good luck planet, and it's in your money room right now. So guess what? We're going to be expanding the money thing, or the 10th house. So depending on where the planets are placed at various times, this is how an astrologer will know exactly what
That's
area of their
predictive.
life. It's very predictive.
Predictive
yes.
astrology.
And tell you, this career change, money, relationships, yes, or even spirituality, or travel, yes.
Travel.
Travel, yeah.
What's the harbinger of travel?
Travel usually is going to involve Jupiter in the 9th house. The 9th house is Sagittarius. So if a person even has a lot of Sagittarius in their charts, they will usually do a tremendous amount of traveling in their life.
That's amazing.
Seeing lots of,
So when someone calls you up and says, okay, Kevin, I want you to do my chart,
Yes.
do you usually tell them to come with questions, or do you usually just take the ball and run with it?
I usually take the ball and run with it. So I will start telling them, I will look at the chart, tell them what I see. I'll also go back to their birth chart, because again, your birth chart is going to will tell me how a person's going to react to changes, or if they're going to embrace changes. And then after I've finished
Then
running
you
with the
open
ball, then I open it up and
Running
tell
with
them,
that.
yes, and I tell them, okay, what questions do you have?
And do you believe in the practice of doing a yearly transit so that you not only have your birth chart, but you also have, isn't that called progressed?
Yes, there's
A progressed chart.
progressed and transits. And transits are what astrologers look at to see what's coming up the next year and the next 2 years.
So that's
Yes,
what we
or 3
need, a
years.
little yearly checkup.
A yearly checkup with your, astrologer to see what's going on in your
Well,
life.
I think all of this is fascinating. And tell all of our listeners how to get a hold of you, Kevin.
Well, you can, I do readings at Body, Mind, and Soul, and you can contact us at info@bmshouston.com is our
Info
email.
at bmshouston.com.
And going to give the phone. Did you read that or no?
You can give the phone. You bet.
Yes, okay, or you can call us at 713-993-0550, and we'll make an appointment. Yes.
So we can make an appointment with Kevin during that.
Yes.
Bye, Godzilla.
Bye, Godzilla. He's going away.
Once again, we're coming to you live from Houston, Texas on locallivehouston.com. I'm Teresa Maron, and you're listening to Gems of Wisdom, where my guest today is Kevin Casey. And I just had one more thing I wanted to remind our listeners today about, and that is your upcoming class on November 10th.
November 10th, yes.
And that is at...
It's going to
2
be
p.m.?
Yes, it's going to be at 2 p.m. and it's going to be at Body, Mind, and Soul. It's a 2.5-hour class, and you can email your birth information at
Because you'll need that ahead of the class.
at bmshouston.com. And also, if you can bring the birth data of maybe your wife or your husband or your children also.
If you have some questions
If
about
you have
relationships.
some questions about that, about relationships, because that's what a lot of people want to know, how to get along better with the people in their lives. And again, I'm going to show you some real quick and dirty tricks to,
Down and dirty tricks. Astrology
to glance
tricks.
into, yes, exactly. And just to be able to look at it. And it's amazing how much information you can get just from glancing at a chart and knowing your signs and elements. Yes.
And I think after spending time in a class such as you're speaking about right now,
Yes.
there will be no doubt that astrology is a very viable science and art, and also a craft.
It is, absolutely.
All right. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. Join me on Facebook at Gems of Wisdom. I would love to hear your input, questions about stones, and also comments on our show today. I will be having a class myself at Body, Mind, Soul on November 17th about rituals, and that is how to use gemstones and meditations in order to just follow the rhythm of the seasons. I love that concept.
I like that too.
Yeah, the spring equinox, the winter solstice, full moons, new moons, and can't forget about that eclipse coming up.
Absolutely.
Probably better have an eclipse party. Huh?
We could do that too.
I cannot read that, Jordan. I am so sorry. I am half blind. Oh, today is Global Oneness Day. So
Oh,
we're
that's
all
awesome.
one?
We
Today
are.
we're all connected and one?
Yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Jordan. Jordan always knows stuff like that.
That's
so
awesome.
amazing.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to sign off today from Gems of Wisdom. I'm Teresa Maron. I'm glad our paths have crossed, and may all of your journeys be joyful.